Aloha. This is Urine Therapy, Urotherapy training course number 35. Number 5, the final one in the series of 5 classes. It'll be starting in the next 6 minutes. Our one student, Ken Newbill, will be joining us for an exciting class and a finale, insights, all kinds of things that he will share and I will share, and we'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned.
That we're in, the better it's going to be, you know? And I said, if we take a look at dad has to deal with, I said, I have all these examples of exactly what not to do. I have 5 of them because I manage 5 adults, 5 boomers. I manage them and they're nothing like you, Brother Sage. Let me tell you that. Okay. So just, today my mother went in for a scan. Exactly what I told her. I said, your liver is overloaded and that's all it is. Your liver's overloaded. You've been too obese for too long. You've been drinking and eating and smoking. You just stopped smoking in October. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, so something interesting happens when you stop smoking. And she said, what? I said, the body starts to heal itself. I said, your body never had a chance to really alert you more about your gallbladder because it was dealing with all the cigarettes.
Yeah, and everything else.
I said, but now you're seeing new things pop up because this is like the 3rd month she's had something pop up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I go, look at your body trying to tell you what's up. You've been numb for all these years on the nicotine and all the toxins in the cigarettes all these years. And now your body is able to communicate with you. And so don't be afraid. I said, don't fear what's going on. I said, just the scan was great for your mind. But let me tell you about that scan. She's like, what? I said, I have clients that have been scanned plenty of times and they never find any stones. Yet, when they cleanse, they're dropping buckets of stones.
Yeah.
I said, so what that means, Mom, is if their tools could sense your sludge and your stones, you're very impacted. Like you're a severe case.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I am. I go, yeah, you're a severe case. I said, I bet your pancreas numbers were high. She goes, how'd you know that? I said, because your liver's full. So if your liver's full and overwhelmed, that pancreas is going to automatically inflame.
Right.
And she's like, oh my gosh. I said, you've already got the tools. Let's talk tonight. We'll put things in motion, get you moving forward, and just buckle up for the journey. I said, but you should just realize the truth right now. Your body doesn't want any fat of any kind in it. It has enough to work with for probably a couple of years. So
Yeah.
we don't need any more fat going in your body. We don't need any animals in your body. We need living, light food. And that is all. I said,
Right.
so if you get the need to eat something cooked, it's steamed vegetables and that's it. No butter. No, no, no. You need to stop playing with it at this point. You can't play anymore. You're 70 years old. Stop. You need time to grow up.
Plus, the other thing is a lot of them are propped up energetically by those substances.
Absolutely.
They got
And they
all
don't
this
know.
they got all this fake energy, and they keep going, reaching out to it to get that fix. And yet now that they stop, their body's going to have to, start working on its own and provide the natural energy.
I validated that so much just with animal protein enough alone with many clients to show them for themselves. You know, they're like, my energy's low or blah, blah, blah. We've been working on detox and cleansing and eating raw and all the things. I'm like, you're healing. You're supposed to feel a little weaker. Your body's working hard for once. It can finally do the work. It's not distracted,
Hmm.
with other things. And I go, she, she goes, I'm just so tired. So I'm going to show you something. I want you to go buy a grass-fed, grass-finished ribeye steak. She's like, really? I haven't had meat in 4 months. I go, I know. I want to show you something. She's like, okay. I said, I want you for 3 days to have 3 ounces of that steak.
That's it. Hmm.
3 ounces. Nothing more than that. She called me back the same day from the very first serving. Wow, I feel like I have so much energy and blah, 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 blah. I go, I know. Kind of like a cup of coffee, right? Yeah, it is kind of like coffee, but there's no caffeine in meat. I go, I know there's no caffeine in meat. There's other enes in meat. It's a
And there's,
protein, right? Yeah. You got all the stuff that comes with the protein of a flesh mammal. And that means you're getting all the negative, all the energy, you're getting all the hormones, and all the adrenaline from that animal. And so now you're in a fake energetic mode,
mhm.
and let's see how you feel in the morning. Message in the morning. God, I feel pretty bad. Yep,
Yeah,
I
what did
know.
that matter?
That's like it always comes at a cost. That's not, I said, real energy doesn't come at a cost. Drugs always come with a cost.
Yep.
I said, so once your stimulant ran its course, it crashed you. And now
Hmm.
you got to deal with the byproduct of that 3 ounce steak. She didn't want to do the next 2 days. She gave the steak to her husband, who was still eating tons of meat.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got to point these out to people so they'll pay attention,
Well,
right?
but I'll tell you what, pee energy is real, man.
Oh, it's very real,
It
and
is the truth. It's the truth. You don't need an energy drink, man. This is it.
that's why I enjoyed doing a live stream this morning about if 500 million people are doing urine therapy on this planet, what does that tell you?
It works.
It works. They don't need science. We don't need science. You don't need have all that stuff. This is exciting to me. That's why more people are jumping on board. More people are making some. More people are coming back from taking a 10-year break. Uh, Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know why people want to take such a long break unless they started messing up their food so bad.
Well, they're taking a break because they didn't get the wow bang effect that they were looking for, right? Or they never overcame the negative disgust factor in their mind.
Right. Yeah,
Okay?
they didn't get past it
There's all kinds of reasons. So
for sure.
let's get back in the book here. So you're already doing this, so I don't have to say much about it. This is chapter 15, and this describes presenting urine therapy service professionally. Now, more and more people are doing it professionally. Not everybody is doing it at the level that I'm doing it at or you're doing it at. And this is the next couple chapters talking about, okay, how to take something that you're educated in, something that is sought after on the planet, and make a career out of it. And I never thought that there was anything, I didn't have any resistance to charging for classes and charging for consultations. It just was an organic extension of what I know and what I've been studying and what I've been teaching all these years. So I turned it a profession. And of course, what happened on social media? I got my share of people going, but urine is free.
Of course it is.
I said, so is breathing, but people charge for breathing groups. So is bending your body. They call it yoga. People charge for yoga. You know,
People charge talking is free, yet
talking
people get paid millions of dollars to talk.
lots of money. Yeah. Tony Robbins was getting $100,000 for a weekend talk.
And and people think he's worth more.
Yeah. So that's what I was conveying to people. All the time it takes to study and to research and to guide people. That is the value.
And I would say with you in therapy, it's even a deeper value because we all had to go through the overcoming
Hmm.
already. And so
Yep.
people need to attach themselves to folks that have done the overcoming of the dogma or the lies we've been told about urine and all the things. It's, like I'm trickling in information on my wife just to let her know that it's safe, that it's effective,
And it's
that it's
real.
clean, all the things, right? And letting her ask her questions in a safe space. I said, you ask me the question, anything that comes on your mind, about it, I'm here to help you because one day you're going to try this in some way, shape, or form to become your lifelong therapeutic, you
Hmm.
know? I said, this is the best. I said, this is the best supplement I have in the world. This is it. Um, Even if I give mine to someone else or someone else gives it to me, it's still the best supplement I can put in my body. And
Yeah.
I said, I'm absolutely convinced at this point, no herbal can come close to what this does. I don't care where it came from, the Hootsuite Mountains or whatever,
Hmm.
grown off of an animal's back. It doesn't matter. This is it. It was designed so intuitively for us to handle all the things. We have to be patient and we have to overcome someone trying to hide who we are.
Hmm.
And that's what it is. It's an awakening process. So it's more than just saying, oh, let's go use a therapy to fix you.
Hmm.
That's not going to work with urine therapy. And I would see maybe even if someone was really desperate, it might work. They might do it once or twice, but how are they going to keep going? You got to do this kind of stuff to get going. You got to meet a master. You got to be able to ask those haunting questions
Tough
that we
ones.
hear that you probably heard a million times at this point,
Oh
yet
yeah.
answer it with love, conviction, and grace to help them make the transition over. Because that's really what they're paying for.
Oh, exactly. Plus, I bring a lot of heart to the conversation because I
You
know
do,
people are
absolutely.
they're desperate. They're feeling helpless, and here's a guy with absolute confidence. I've got unshakable faith in this water,
That's what it's about.
and that's the transference that is required for someone who's any kind of professional, but in this case, a urine therapy professional, is to be able to hold a space so that people can realize, oh yeah, this is real, it works, you're proof of it, and I'm in.
There we go. So yeah, man, I'm ready to start this. I really want this guy to sign up so that we can work together. I said I want to work you through this. I want to help you, make this transition and allow you to see how much power you really have. That everybody is telling you you don't have power and they go, here's your pills, here's your potions. They have the power. And I said, as much as I love Zen Cleanse, even you have more power than Zen Cleanse.
Oh yeah.
And he went, man, I love that stuff. I said, well, I'm telling you that there's something higher than Zen Cleanse. And we're it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people who are in that on that edge are not sure which way to go, what direction. They jump on the internet and they're inundated by the health gurus. They're
Yeah.
inundated by the nutritional gurus who are slick salesmen, great promotions. They got it all the talking points. They get them subscribed, they get them on the product every month, and that pulls them away from urine therapy.
Everything's a distraction. Like I was testing out a supplement um a few months back from a lady I know. I said, I will try it with you. I try things not necessarily always for myself. I try them with the intention of understanding the validity of what it does
Mm-hmm.
and could that be an avenue for someone? Because there's all types of elements always coming out in the planet, different offers and things like that. And you never really know vibrationally what's going to attract one person to one method or another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I worked with a guy for literally a year and a half in order to get him into urine. We did all these other things for a year and a half. And then I was like, are you ready to try urine now? And he was like, I don't know, Ken. I was like, I've got a lot of information I can share with you. We can talk about it. I want to simplify your life. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I want to remove all the stuff that you're doing because you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I gotta have this. I said, you don't need that stuff.
Now you have your mind says you got to have it, but
I
you
said,
don't.
you've already healed. I said, you're healed. I've been walking you off of this stuff for months, and you're holding on to some things that you don't really need to hold on to. You just need to know there's something better that can replace it.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to show it to you. I need you to step into it, literally step into it. And he was like, I said, just start with your feet. because he had tendon some type of tendon injury from a
Mhm.
long time ago, but he kept kind of re-injuring it because he's a very active guy. And I'm like, I want you to start soaking your feet, and I want you to start wrapping that injury with your urine. Yeah, he's walking good. He's jogging a little bit now.
Good.
Yeah, and it's nothing to do with anything else we got going on. It's just there it is right there. And I mean, and the big thing also is the stem cells. The stem cells, the stem cells, the stem cells. Everybody wants the stem cells these days. You got people selling the stem cell in extragenous stem cells for almost 160 to 70 bucks a month, right? A
In
li
what form are they? Liquid?
it's a liquid form that people can drink. And I'm like, where are they getting these stem cells from? I wonder, where are they coming from?
That's a great question. If
It
it's from
almost makes me
Sweden,
think, are they stealing it from urine?
uh, no surprise. No.
I don't know, but who knows? I was like, I'm good. I've got plenty.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it always thrills me to hear people who want to try this, and they do try it, and they're excited about being part of this journey. Um, Chapter 16 and chapter 17 is 16 is how I decided to take this to the world and get it off the internet. Because everybody who talks about urine therapy is doing it through social media. Not everybody, but the majority of them, they're relying on the internet. I said, what about mom and pa who don't use a phone? They don't use the internet. They're intimidated by modern technology. So, what we did in Boulder, Colorado in 2018 is we reserved a library room. Have I told you this story?
No.
They're all worth repeating. We reserved a library room in the downtown library in Boulder, Colorado. It just so happened that the name of the library room, once I say it, I'm sure you'll get it. The name of the meeting room was the El Dorado room. You know what that means in English?
The El
Gold.
Dorado, the bull, right?
It means gold.
Oh, gold. Ah, very good.
So we had the
Nice.
gold room.
Perfect.
All right. So we had meetup on meetup.com. We had 8 to 10 people that were coming once a week. At one point, the let's see, it was Channel 7 and then Channel 9 shows up, and they're recording our show, recording our group. And then that started to spring off into um, one of the board of directors of shivambu.org was at my apartment. We brought in Channel 9, which is CBS or NBC out of Denver. They recorded us. We're doing Tai Chi in the living room, and then I'm bringing out all the protocols. I'm drinking on camera. I'm kidding with the cameraman and the journalist. You should try some. This will change your life. She says, "Oh no, no, that's okay." And then at the end of that show, it's a beautiful piece. At the end of the show, they bring on the doctor to demonize it for the last 30 seconds and say, "No, these guys are wrong. It's waste product, blah blah blah." But what they didn't realize, Ken, is that video has like 50 to 100,000 views on it. I mean, it really went viral.
Wow.
Despite them trying to turn it against what it was, it really helped the movement. So then what I did was I took one more step. Now I was working with the newspapers. I worked with the Denver newspaper that interviewed me about urine therapy. It was awesome. I was just going full tilt boogie, and I've got a permit from the city of Boulder to host a table at a very popular foot traffic mall downtown Boulder called Pearl Street Mall. So 3 of my students showed up. One was a camera person. We put out a table with books, with handouts, with all kinds of information. The urine therapy does the body good bumper sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Had a
Yeah.
huge banner, a 3-foot banner, which, by the way, I've offered to anyone in the community in the United States who wants to borrow it. You can get this banner and do something with it. So anyway, we had 35 people show up from the streets, only 3 hecklers.
That's low.
That's very low. And the whole idea, and most of the stuff that I do, if not you do this, is for teaching purposes.
Absolutely.
I'm doing this stuff out in the public to show people, what are you afraid of? I'm putting myself on the line. Go out there
Mm-hmm.
and talk it out in the streets. So these are some of the things I did. to work with the media, to work with the public, and to take it offline.
I love it. Getting it to the people is what it's all about at the end of the day. And I think sometimes it's, something like, what these type of arts of healing aren't always very well transmuted online,
Mm-hmm.
because online is fickle and fast. And this isn't something that's fast. You need to soak this in. You need to read. You need to probably pray. You need to do some things in order to come in alignment.
Mm-hmm.
You and that's what, urine therapy is, an absolute alignment modality.
Yep.
You have to come into flow with it, literally. And that's hard for people to grasp in the message online, a few posts here and there. Even in a group, you need to go all in. You need to sign up for something. You need to have a plan of execution and a strategy of some
Mm-hmm.
sort, I believe, for people to get the best out of this. I believe the people, the 500 millions that are out there, have probably attached themselves to someone else who's done it. I
Yep.
believe that urine therapy is probably a bunch of people that have put their arms around each other,
Mm-hmm.
from family member to friend or so on. I know John did it and it worked for John, and I know it did, for dad, and dad had stage 3 cancer and he came out of it and all the things, right? And what I'm trying to get one of my cancer clients now to consider it. I said, I'd love to simplify your protocol. And he's like, what? I'm like, I'd love to remove half of the stuff, over half of the stuff, all the stuff if we could, that we're putting in your body to fight off everything that's, been, we're fighting fire with fire here, but we could fight the fire with like some way bigger potential, like an inferno, like a nuclear warhead type of ability, if you're willing to go into urine therapy. And he goes, man, I'm not so sure. I think my pee is probably bad. I was like, your pee is always great. You know, we just started having it. I said, well, so we're having conversations. So I just keep bringing it up a little, because he's not going anywhere. I
Right.
promised to be with him until not only he solved his tumor, but until he solved all the lack of mobility in his shoulders and he could actually put his arms back above his head and go like this. I said, I will be with you until all of that is done and you can go like this again. And he
Mm-hmm.
goes, okay, so we're signed up for the long haul. So at this point, it's like working with a really good friend. We've been working together for about 5 months. Um, and what's beautiful is to see all of the drugs go away. We got a couple that we're still working on, but they're going to take him out of the special program he was in for cancer.
Nice.
He's
Very
They can
nice.
no longer validate it on the insurance from his lab work, is what I told him. I said, don't think they're doing you any favors, buddy. I mean, they are in a way because I want that crap out of your body. But ever
Mm-hmm.
since we've been working together, you went from a 1 week treatment to a 2 week treatment to a 3 week treatment to a 4 week treatment. And now your doctor just said, well, now what we want to do is lower the dose and keep you coming back every 4 weeks so they keep getting cash.
Of
They keep
course.
getting that money. But the program doesn't allow it. The program has to be at full dose because that's the only way that they believe it works. And so what I told him is, then she just told you you don't need that drug anymore. That's exactly what she told you. And you've seen it for yourself. And it's what I told you from the very beginning, that I will prove to you and you will prove to yourself that you are not medicine deficient. You're not pharma deficient. I promise you
Mhm.
you're not.
Well, thanks to the last 6 years, what's been really helpful for a lot of us teachers to help people to open and stretch their mind to a new idea is the medical lie, the medical world. And so when I pose the question to people, well, they lied about everything else. What makes you think they didn't lie about your water? Right? You want to get them to think things in a different perspective. Well, tell me more. And then I can go into the whole teaching, and I got to bring up the baby in the womb relationship and the connection there. And there's a lot you can do now because people are looking for answers and they're giving up on the medical community. And here comes urine therapy on the radar. I thought I'm glad those 8 years that I've been out pumping content on social media has got to this point because now it's being validated and confirmed all over the place.
And it's great, but here's something I want you to realize though, is social media is strange in that it constantly perpetuates your interest, your world back at you in high replication. So you're kind of stuck in a cycle.
Hmm.
And when practitioners don't get out into the streets, it's a problem because social media is very deceiving.
Big time.
It'll make you think, oh, everybody knows what's going on and people are doing all the things, and they're not. Just go outside,
See what's real.
go to a big event, be social and look around,
Hmm.
talk to some people and listen.
Yeah.
And if you listen, you will pick up nothing but health problems within minutes of a social event.
Oh yeah.
Within minutes, you'll start hearing my foot, my back, this drug, my doctor has me on X. I've been dealing with this for this much time, and I saw this online. I think I'm going to try this thing out, blah, 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 blah. We are not well.
Mm-mm.
I think a lot of us wellness practitioners online are being fed crap to make us lower our guard and to make us believe that this impact is greater than what it really is. And
Or that what they're selling is greater than what their body can make them.
yeah, because the reality is making change in the body is the most difficult thing for people to do. For
Hmm.
habits, they have to have their mindset right. They have to get spiritually aligned. There's so much that has to happen that people don't know they need to do and have been running from their entire life. We're not as well as social media makes everything out to be.
Hmm.
That people are just walking along and singing a song and they're all healing up and they're working out and eating great. They're not. Because I get people, I'm sure you do too. You get
Yeah.
people off of social media who have great followings from time to time that need help.
Hmm.
And I get them. I get people who promote a product or multiple products that are supposed to solve all the problems.
Yeah.
Yet they haven't.
Right. Yep. I can't tell you how many naturopaths and high-end holistic doctors that are my clients.
I believe it. I totally believe it, but because I experience it myself, and I'm like, people aren't doing as well as they think. I said, always remember, you're only going to get the good side on the media, on the social media. They're going to show you the good stuff. They're going to lead you down a trail that's normally to some money. I would not be on social media much at all if it wasn't for money. Bottom line.
Hmm.
But while I am on there, I'm going to try to find a way to help people. I'm going to try to find a way for people to crack the door and come on in, or at least jump on a free call and talk with someone who actually does care, who's actually done the work, who doesn't stop, who doesn't, who always remembers we're on a battlefield of health and
Yeah.
the war is not over. It's just beginning for a lot of people.
Right. And you are one of the few people that doesn't have a back agenda, secret agenda, or has any reason to lie to people.
No, because here's the thing. I remember starting this in the very beginning, and it was part of my pitch, if you will, that my biggest job is to make sure that you're a temporary client. And I
Mhm.
said, my job is to get fired, but respectfully. You don't
Yeah.
need me anymore. You'll know how to do it. You'll know how to take care of yourself. Um, and that's my job, is to make sure that that happens because I need to move on to others. And you see, and they're like, "Oh," I said, "I don't want to work with you for the rest of your life. That's insane. That's the system you were already sold. You don't need a doctor for your whole life. That's ridiculous."
Hmm.
Okay? What, you had an appendage of a doctor when you were born? No. So you don't need me for the rest of your life if you listen, if you execute, and if you really care to learn. You won't need me. I said, and those people that don't want to learn, I'll fire you as a client eventually. because I have to make sure I'm working with more people. My job is to get to more people, not to manage the same people. And they're like, I've never heard a doctor say anything like that.
You
So I
never
know.
will.
I said, you likely won't ever hear that because we're working completely two different business models. My business model is all based on new blood that needs help.
Hmm. And then we'll
And
follow directions.
and that's it. You follow the directions, we can work together, we build a relationship, you find your healing, you find your truth. Now you go spread you go drop more seeds. That's my job is to help create more seed droppers. So that's
Teach
the
them to
deal.
fish. Teach them to fish. Don't give them a fish.
Amen. That's the deal.
And it's the same with a book that came out of the 70s. You might have heard about it or read it. The title of the book is If You See the Buddha on the Road, Kill Him.
Yes, I have seen. I have not read that book, but I have heard a lot of people mention this book.
Yeah. It was disturbing when people first saw the title and then they realized what they're saying is the guru leads you to you and then you're on
Yes,
your own.
love it. So let me ask you, Brother Sage. So when you are um, in that initial talk with someone just signs up and says, I want to speak with you,
Hmm.
and they're pouring out. I mean, I'm sure you probably allow them to just expunge a bit. Tell us the story, tell us what's hurting for certain, and what happens next for you.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm reading under the words. I'm reading the belief systems. I'm I'm inquiring to go deeper into where is the cause other than the food, other than the poisons. So I'm taking down just little chicken scratch notes to guide for my guidance to come in and say, well, here's what's really going on. And you got to look at your food, and you got to look at your emotions, and you have to look at your attitude, look at what your self-talk has been all these years. And so we laugh and we cry and we hold each other on the line, and eventually they get to a point where they're going to start moving forward on these ideas. I mean,
Very good.
that's the context of my work. It's the
I
holistic.
like that. Yeah,
Because
I
I'm
like
not going
that.
to tell them, I'm not the guy who says, drink your urine, have a good life, because that's what it doesn't work that way.
I have to laugh because that reminds me of fruitarian communities,
Uh-huh.
right? They've
Uh-huh.
got people legitimately seeking hope and help and support. And you'll have somebody come out in all caps and just say, just eat the fruit. We're frugivores. And that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the help, man. Like that's it. That's all you got.
That's all you got. And look how
That
many.
was your donation to the movement and to inspire others to do the thing that you're so passionate about.
Hmm.
And that's why I go, well, is that diet really working for you? If that's how you are,
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know if it's really working for you if that's how you are with people.
Well, it's doable. I mean, I've stepped on the fruitarian path many a times. I'm mostly there, but I spent all the years cleaning out my bodies to prepare it. You just don't all of a sudden go cold turkey on meat and go cold turkey on your American diet. It doesn't work that way. When I joined a raw food community in Austin back in the 70s, oh, my liver took a hit. I mean, I had grade C hepatitis. All kinds of things were purging, and there was no go-to support structure. We were just a bunch of hippies playing raw foodists in a community. So nobody really knew exactly what we were doing. So we had to find our way through it. And we had books and we had mentors. And some people made it and some people didn't.
Yeah, some people won't. And I think a lot of people like, we've got a lot of especially in the so-called Black community here in the US now, there's a there's about a group of 10 people that I see online,
Mm.
different folks. They're not all they know each other, but they're not all working together necessarily. And that's something that I think is what I don't like is when we're trying to make people jump over a huge hump
Yep.
like you were just describing, right? You're like, I got into raw, man. I was eating fried chicken yesterday, and now today I'm 100% raw. That's craziness. And that's very tough on the body. And it's tough on the microbiome, it's tough on the mental, it's tough on the hormone. It's just tough.
It
And
is.
so people feel that and get so scared.
Hmm.
Some people feel like they're dying
Oh, they do.
and they're like, I will never eat a fruit again
Yeah.
from that experience. And I go, "Well, I think more people get damaged through that kind of thing
Hmm.
than get better.
Hmm.
It allows for the mind to get comfortable real quick because it's always seeking comfort. So as soon as there's a reason, a valid, logical reason, and that is
Hmm.
valid and logical. I feel like hot garbage, and you told me this was healthy and that I would be amazing and feel all the, fruits of my labor, literally. Oh, but that doesn't come for a few months from now.
Yeah, they're not going to have the patience for that.
No. That's why I've never worked with any patients. I
Hmm.
only have clients because by the time they get here, they've ran out of patience. They don't have any left.
Well,
They
the
need
support.
results. They want help. They want real help. They want love and support and care. That's what's missing in this world. And it's still missing even outside of the allopathic medicine world. It's missing in functional world. It's
Hmm.
missing in naturopathy because so many of these businesses, and I'm not here to judge, so many of these people are trying to survive. And
Hmm.
because they're trying to survive, they don't have as much nurture ability. They're trying to turn the dollar. They're trying to make a deal, to
Hmm.
make sure that they stay in business and support their families and their initiatives in this life. So I get it, but I do believe that if we can slow down and calm down enough and stop chasing it all, that it comes to you. And I've seen it for myself because I was a chaser my entire life. I was taught to chase. I was taught to go make money. I was a
Hmm.
great sales guy when I was
Yep.
in sales for so many years. And the constant thing that I get from people that I've hired to coach me for my business, this business, is that your sales are horrible. I have the most difficult time selling this.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sell. And it's not because it's complicated, it's because it's hard it's just difficult to sell something you're so passionate about people. Um, and
Well,
yes,
you've got the important key, and this is why I was big in selling nutritional products. I was in a lot of multi-level marketing companies. I worked at 6 major health food stores from the United States to Hawaii, and I saw the inside of that thing. And I was constantly, they take this and take that and this, and I got to the point where forget it. And I moved from selling people on products to selling them on themselves.
yeah, yes.
And this is the turnaround point, is to empower people.
Absolutely. So I'm trying to figure out, Dr. Sage, and I think this could be very beneficial for me if you could mentor me in this.
Sure.
Um, how can I broach this subject earlier in the discussion about wellness with potential clients?
Um, do you ask them where they want to go with this, where they want to go with our consultation? Do you ask them questions like, if you were healthier and you were stronger and you had uh, better health than ever before, would that be something you would put your time and energy and your whole heart into?
For sure. Absolutely.
We want to get them to see the value and to make a commitment. And then you can fill in the structure and the systems that you have.
Right. Right.
The first thing, and I learned this in sales, people don't care as much that you know shit. They want to know that you care.
For sure.
So it's the human element that has to be conveyed and connected.
You're right. You're right. Nope, that makes sense. Um, yeah, people have to know you care before, what's that saying? People have to know you care before
Or they know that you know stuff.
before they care about what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's something to take to heart, because
Absolutely.
we're extending compassion and kindness and sensitivity to people, which they're not getting from society. They're not getting it from their family. And then you become a true brother to them, someone that they can count on. I follow up with my clients within a week or so, and I tell them after I'm done with the session, I ask them, was this valuable to you? Was this of good information to you? And they'll let me know. And I said, well, I'm going to follow up with you in a week, and I hope you'll be available. And that's what I do. I want to
Good
make
deal.
sure that they've taken action on it, that they've made some steps, and this is helping.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, I think some in it, I have, I've definitely failed at that before with, there's one case that always comes to my mind. I had no idea this client needed that kind of love,
Mm.
right? And I
Hmm.
think it's because they had up a really big shell. And so it presented itself in a very negative way when it happened. And so some people might think it was a bad client experience. I think it was a very growing experience for me, was to recognize that even some of the people that appear very strong and so well put together, um, was looking for love that they weren't getting in other places.
Well, this is why people show up in your field. You've heard that expression, the field, the aura, the energy, rainbow body. They show up to either say, Ken, I love you, or Ken, help me to find my love, help me to return to love.
Yeah, help me to
And
return
that
to
puts you in a position of not resisting or fighting people coming into your world. Because here I am in Kauai. I love talking to tourists because they're on vacation and they let their guard down. And
love. Hmm.
and I realized that the people who show up my life, uh, there's been already an agreement that's been made, some kind of contract that they're into your life. There was the other day when I felt like I needed to have some people with me today. I'm feeling lonely. I want some people to talk to. I'm at the beach and a guy comes up to me. He was sleeping on the side of the beach on the sand. He looks like, who knows, homeless or helpless. He comes up, starts talking to me. And the moment he started talking to me, I realized that I was supposed to have a conversation with him.
Hmm.
And we had heart to hearts that lasted about 30, 45 minutes, and I was so grateful that God sent me someone like him.
Right on time.
It didn't matter his story. As a matter of fact, that my prayer was answered.
That's beautiful, man. Right on time.
So the people who are showing up in your life, you're ready for them, they're ready for you.
That makes all the sense in the world to me. That's good stuff. And it's always good to be able to bear witness to those things.
You're more and more aware. You're going to see that divine order is taking place in the moment, even though your mind might be rewriting a story saying otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this next chapter, we got about an hour here. This next chapter was just to highlight the superstars that I got the honor of interviewing or meeting or crossing paths with. There's this one woman, her name is Ma Dejame Devi. She's out in France, and many of these interviews are on my YouTube channel. She's a gal who been practicing urine therapy her whole life, it seems like. When she takes a shower, she won't use city water. She doesn't use city water for bathing. She uses just urine, goes and lets it dry, goes out about her life.
Oh my gosh.
She's a true devotee.
Yeah, she's all in.
She's also an extraordinary singer out there, so people know her from her music, musical talent. You know Harry Matadine, of course.
Yes.
We had lovely talks, and every time I talk to him, I'm thinking I'm talking to one of the Beatles because he's got that the English
Yes.
accent.
That piss is good for you, isn't it?
That's why you should try a piss. Yeah.
Trick your piss mate.
I'm just going to go through these guys really brief. George Johnson is the guy out of Montana who nobody knew about him until he started posting on the internet. He would go to play. Now his license, his car plate said Shivambu on it. It was abbreviated Shivambu on his license plate. He's a guy who took art chalk, and wrote Shivambu is life at the entranceway to Yellowstone National Park. And he'd walk around with tie-dye shirts that say Shivambu is life. And he was like an unknown character, but he started showing up in social media. I said, I got to talk to this guy. He sounds fascinating. The next guy is Dr. David Jubb. Have you heard of him?
Oh yeah, I've read a lot of David's works. My my problem is I can't listen to him.
Well, he's got a quantum consciousness. He can talk way over my head all the time.
I want to I want to listen to him, but I can't. I've tried a lot, and I'm like, can't do it. I've been trying to do it for years because I
Yeah.
have, and every now and then someone will pop up, hey, something, David Jebb. I'm like, I've got his books. I I love the guy. I've even tried some of his products. He's a very intelligent man. But I know someone, not new. I know someone who um, was rolling with David in the early years.
Hmm.
And he goes, man, David's human too. I go, what do you mean? He goes, one day I was having lunch with David. David was eating chicken like nobody's business.
Uh-huh.
I said, we all have our ups and downs. He goes, everybody has their ups and downs. Everybody. And I said, yeah. I said, I don't think he's a phony or fake, but people are so silly that they
Hmm.
could have seen that and written off everything else about him in
Oh,
an
yeah.
instant. That's how stupid some people are.
Hmm.
Instead of recognizing that David's a human
Hmm.
and David may have been responding to a need emotionally or maybe even something else nutritionally that his body wanted. I don't know,
Hmm.
but David's body knew. I said, but here's the real deal. We know David didn't want to eat the chicken. He talks against that stuff so much. So imagine what was going on inside of him to allow him to eat the chicken.
Yeah. And he was in his transition.
For sure. I said we all bounce back and forth a little bit as we move forward. There is no straight path. There's always going to be some backsliding, just like your preacher used to talk about in church. You backsliding Christians. You take
That's David Jubbs. I got a chance to rub shoulders with him at the Water of Life Symposium in Vegas in 2018. And that was a defining moment for a lot of us because people just went everywhere and became like missionaries for urine therapy. And um, they gave me a book signing table. They allowed me to talk on stage. And that's what put me in the spotlight because, dude, long after that, I'm on all kinds of podcasts and radio shows. And that helped launch my career was
beautiful.
Live Symposium.
I love that. I love it.
And yeah, Gerald was there.
Really?
Guevara, is that his last name? He's got a wife and a baby now.
Mm-hmm.
He was at that event and he was doing rap songs and it was just great to meet him. So that was David Jubb. When I met him, he claimed he hadn't eaten in 10 years. And uh, it was an interesting character because everywhere he walked through the hotel, he had his entourage of beautiful women that were like gaga all over him. And uh, that was David. I really enjoyed some time with him, though. Yeah, he talks over my head too.
And
Uh,
yeah, I get what he's saying mostly. It's the it's his voice and accent. It's
oh,
so heavy for me. I can't like hang out with it too long. It overstimulates my brain.
mhm.
And so I'm like, I just need an interpreter for this because I'd love to listen to his works and what he's saying. I said, I would love to go see him in person, but I'd probably be tapped out in about 30 minutes. You know, he's maybe it's
he's
just a power.
he's from Tasmania, which is the south of Australia.
Okay, that's probably pretty deep.
It,
That accent's strong.
he pronounces
You're right.
urine in his accent. I'm just going to go through these characters really quick, and then we're going to take a look at the future.
Okay.
And if you want, I will sing a rap song, a urine therapy rap song.
Oh wow, you got music?
I got it everywhere. Dave Murphy was the guy who we first heard did a urine therapy fast for 30 days. And that was new to me. It was new to a lot of people. He ends up healing cancer. And he goes by the name of Allegedly Dave
Allegedly Dave.
because he's referring to as the straw man corporate person.
Yes.
And so
In all
since
caps.
the what?
In all caps.
Yeah, the all caps person. That's Dave Murphy. Fabian Farquharian is another one of those genius minds like David Jubb. He's out in England. And I had a chance to interview him once. He's one of those genius kind of guys. Leah Sampson is a woman. You'll see her picture in there. She was like way overweight, had every possible health challenge. She had third-degree burns all over her body. And she got in, the doctors were giving up on her. And then she ends up discovering urine therapy. It not only saved her, she lost a lot of weight. She got her skin to return to a beautiful look. And she once showed up in a video dancing with Indian headdress and feathers at the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So she's a survivor, and she's also a Native American in Canada. So she goes by the name of Standing White Buffalo.
Standing white buffalo.
That's her Indian name. Here's Casey Caban. This will be the last person. Well, I'm going to name a bunch of people. You probably know them, but I'm going to throw them out there. Casey Caban, I met him at the convention. He also goes by the name of Widu Shivambu. That's his alias name. So let's do a rap song really quick so I can get it out of my system. He wrote a book of poems about urine therapy. And this is from his book. And this song is called, well, it's a poem, but I like to rap with it. It's called The Cure Lives Within Us.
Okay.
I need to get some beat going here. What are your ailments? Are you seeking a cure? Are you given treatments that leave you unsure? Most remedies relieve us, but that doesn't matter. Masking the symptoms when the cure's in our bladder. The poisons consumed are always there. It's in our food, water, and air. Some we control, no need to assume. It's simply based on what we consume. If you don't feel good, do you know why? Do you pop a pill and hope you don't die? The cure lives within us. Just look and see. It's very simple. Start drinking your pee.
Yes.
Widu Shivambu.
We do Shimbabu. Yes, we do.
So chapter 19 is all the master teachers and superstars that I knew about up until 2020. And more showed up on the scene. They're all in my book. Is all the newbies that showed up in the last 7 years that I had not heard about. And I'm putting you on that list. You're now on the list.
I'm on the list, baby.
He made the top 100. So when I wrote the first book, the Healing Water from Within book, I got this download of the vision of where this movement was to go. And now, 7 years later, a lot of these things have come true. Of course, we still have the hospital. We still have insurance companies.
Yes.
Still have funeral homes. We still have big pharma. I mean, all this is going to disappear, not only with the discovery that germs are a fake, but that urine therapy is the cure-all. So a lot of those infrastructures and systems are going to fall outside.
Well, 500 million doubles.
It does. So this chapter is worth taking a look at. You'll find out that a lot of things that I wrote about are coming true. Like there's now people digging into the research and the double-blind studies and validating that there are stem cells, there is a nutritional benefit, that age is just as powerful, if not more powerful than fresh. And little by little now, Prime Minister Modi of India, he actually did declare urine therapy to be a sound modality for the people of India.
That's good. That's good.
And it wasn't since Maraji came on 60 Minutes in the 60s with Dan Rather and started telling him about urine therapy that we first started to hear from a prime minister who was in his 90s. That was the secret for longevity. Of course, he asked Dan Rather if he would like to try drinking his urine, and Dan Rather replied quite smugly, "Oh no, that's an India thing." That was his excuse. It's part of your culture. I don't want anything to do with it.
Right, right.
So this is it's an exciting chapter, and you go through it. And I even imagine that at one point there would be colon therapists, that people could go to a colon therapist and they could either get male or female urine put inside their colonics, or they could bring their own, and the colon therapist would be a urine therapy teacher and would know how to use that in the system in the session.
Um, that would be very good. I actually have a local person that I recommend my clients to. I need to waken her up. I need to wake her up.
Yeah, jingle out or reach out to
Yeah,
her.
I think she could do some deeper work for her, not only herself, but for her people, for her clients. We just got to get more people willing to step out and make this a non-taboo thing.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start talking. We need to start talking about it like you don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know about vitamin D, but you don't know about urine therapy.
Mm-hmm.
That's backwards.
Right.
Like I feel so backwards when the more that I learned about urine therapy. I was like, this is backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like urine therapy, fasting, and all these other things should be primary medicines, not the last resort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I always thought it was crazy after doing this for so many decades that they called us the alternative.
Yeah.
In
I mean,
medical world's only 150 years old or something like
exactly. It's a baby.
that. Mm-hmm.
It's literally a baby. There are people on the planet still that are older than this medical system.
Oh yeah. And some of them remember those days.
Mm-hmm. And they don't touch this system. They won't touch it with a 10-foot pole because they saw so many people die from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're helping to break that. We're trying to get them into the new paradigm. I mean, I feel with 500 million people, we're already at or past the tipping point.
Gotcha.
You know, drinking pee is the new norm, at least in the world of the urine therapy community.
Yeah. 500 million that's a country, man. That's not a small country of people.
Mm-hmm. That's a bucket load of urine. Let's see what we can do with all that. So, chapter 21, we got about 22 minutes, whatever it is, about 20 minutes. Chapter 21 is as much of a component of urine therapy as is faith, aka trust. And chapter 21 is about humor. Because if you want to get well, you got to get out of the serious tone that we put ourselves under. We've taken
Right.
ourselves seriously, we've taken life seriously. It's affected our relationships, our health, our money, and everything. And so, what I do in these chapters, which I did in the Inescapable book, was start weaving jokes in here so people could lighten up about, because you're talking to someone about a controversial subject matter of urine therapy. You got to find a way to break the ice, and humor helps.
It definitely does. I think humor helps deliver the hardest truths.
Mm-hmm. And so to be able to frame it in a way that people will hear that really makes a difference. And that was also my impetus or inspiration to write the Piscabulary of urinary.
Yeah.
Uh, edition 2 is in the works, but it's slow going.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. By the way, I noticed that I've got my books are translated into 6 or 7 different languages, and the one that's outselling all the other books this month is in Spanish.
There's a movement.
So the people in Spanish-speaking countries, whether it's Spain, whether it's Mexico, whether it's anywhere in Europe, that book is doing better than it has in a while.
That's great.
And so when you start putting books out, start thinking about translations of the books.
Yeah. That's a thing, apparently.
Well, that's a thing, and otherwise you won't reach the people who don't understand English.
That's right. That's a big group of people.
So that's what inspired me. And I had this couple out in India. They were going to translate the Healing Water book into Tamil, no, into Hindi. But they've been putting it off and putting it off. So I'm end up going to hire somebody else.
Get her done.
I also want it translated into Mandarin and one or two African languages. So chapter 22 is about our organization that we put together called shivambu.org. It was
Mm-hmm.
originally called the um, Shivambu. I don't remember the original name of it, but it was designed. We put this together to build the infrastructure for the worldwide movement. So we put together the nonprofit, then we put together a social media platform, which you're in, called Shivambu Hut. And then we brought out the worldwide directory. And now we have the Shivambu lifestyle store with all the equipment. And I haven't checked lately. I'm going to make sure this is
That's next.
on the list for people. And little by little, we're putting out urine therapy novelties like the charts. So people have these ready at a glance if they want to know what protocols to use, how to build it into their lifestyle, because a lot of the things people are looking for is a system.
Yes, they are. Plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think that's the way that people are going to be able to tap in bigger on a bigger scale, right? I think about like books are great, but I know a lot of people don't read.
Mm-hmm.
So many people don't read anymore.
Right.
And it's a they're missing out. So many people that don't read are missing out on getting the real rich contextual data. Um, that's necessary for something like this, unless you have blind faith, to step into this, and to get all the bells and whistles, the understanding of application and all the various ways that we can leverage it and
Mm-hmm.
how safe it is and how powerful it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're not going to get that in a quick conversation.
No, not at all.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff that it's it's such a it's such a rich medicine. You need a reference book. You literally do. I know
Mm-hmm.
people that don't do half of the therapy. They've never heard of half of the therapies that we talk about. And all they've done is try to drink it. And they're using other things for other issues that urine therapy can solve if they knew how to use it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh man, well, you said you drink urine. I do. I said, well, you could use your urine for that.
Mm-hmm.
For my bone? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
For my skin problem? Yeah. Like we're going on and on and on.
For your eyes, for your brain disorders,
Eyes, your brain,
all that stuff.
and they're
Well,
like,
in addition to teaching people and giving them plenty of content and information, our work is to simplify it
right.
because people who still approach their health and their self-healing with the medical filter over their brain um, have complicated urine therapy. And this is why I'm constantly teaching and reteaching about the simplicity of it, using your intuition, knowing that it works regardless of your considerations. You cannot mess it up unless you walk away from it. And I'm doing the best I can to let people know you're going to get through this. It's simpler. Don't complicate it and get support.
Yes. Get support, get a community, lock in.
Mm-hmm.
Lock in.
Yep. I'm even saying that to the people who are they're afraid to tell their mom, their brother, their wife, their kids.
I want to share something with you that I just remembered I wrote down
Did it.
to share with you. So I've been, notoriously magnesium deficient for most of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I supplement magnesium every day. It's one of the supplements I always take no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't rubbed it on my body in a long time. So I have this balm that I will rub on my whole body.
Yeah.
And if you're magnesium deficient, you'll tingle at a minimum Some people will itch.
Hmm.
Some people will even burn. Now, this only lasts for a couple minutes as the magnesium's getting into the lymph into the bloodstream, right?
Hmm.
Well, after a couple of weeks of focused daily aged, I just had it. I just noticed it was by my bedside, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna throw this on real quick and jump into bed. And so I started rubbing my body down with everything. Now, mind
Hmm.
you, that week I hadn't taken any of my magnesium. So this was just kind of like, oh, let me take some, blah, blah, blah. And I'm standing there, and my wife is like, you okay? I'm like, it's not happening. She said, what's not happening? I said, I'm not itching anywhere because your body will give you various itching levels in different places.
Exactly.
I got none. Ever since I've started daily aged urine, I don't get any magnesium burn at all when I use it. That's the first time in my life that's ever happened.
Are you still including the magnesium? That's because you got gold magnesium.
I'm on a different level because I'm like, this is nuts. Because even when I was constantly taking my magnesium supplement,
Yeah.
I would still get a little bit of a tingle or something. You know, kind of how like you get the niacin flush.
Yeah.
It's similar. Nothing at all. And I was like, I went to bed. I slept well. Obviously, I rubbed my body down in magnesium,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that was the first thing I thought about when I woke up the next day to put the pieces together. And I was like, it's got to be the pee. That's the only thing that's changed. My lifestyle hasn't changed. I'm still stressed out. I mean, I don't mean stressed out. I mean, I'm dealing with life, right?
Yeah, and what it
So,
brings.
so my load is still the same. Yet, only thing I've added to my world is the aged urine consistently. And now I doubt I'd ever have any risk of a migraine ever again in my life. That was always one of the things that I focused on in supplementation because I lived with migraines for 30 years
Ouch.
of my
Yeah.
life from age 8 until the age of 38. And so when I got on my wellness journey, um, I realized after 90 days that I had not had a migraine. And that was one of the things that was like a catapult to stay into a healthy lifestyle,
Hmm.
was to stay out of that pain. And it's one of the most beautiful things I like to see other people overcome is overcome the migraines. And
Oh,
so it makes me think so much about using urine therapy to help people overcome migraines.
yeah. Migraines are terrible. They override your brain. You can't do anything except for, micromanage the migraine.
That's it. If you can do that, I was just a miserable being. I would just literally crawl under a desk and turn all the lights off and take sleeping pills just to try to escape it.
Yeah. Well,
And I did that since I was 8 years old. That sucks.
well, that sucks. Plus, you have a cleaner gut environment.
Oh yeah. I know a lot of things are stacked in my favor, but man, I tell you what, that magnesium thing though, that was like a cool little wake up call to let you know where you're at.
Hmm.
Because I was like, babe, could you do me a favor? She's like, what? I said, could you just rub some on your skin? Just a little bit and see if it itches. And she was like, oh yeah, it's itching for me. Because not crazy, but it's tingling and doing the thing. She goes, you're really not feeling anything? I said, nope, nothing. I'm at a new level.
Yeah. Well, I was doing Chitta's metabolic magic for quite some time,
Mm-hmm.
and I can never dial in the right teaspoon amount, not amount, without getting a rush, the flush. And he says, "Well, that's because you're not taking enough." And so I would keep raising it, and now I'm at a point where I can see it every day on the shelf. I'm not reaching out and using it.
Yeah, I don't. So supplements are all need to be held in that context of the word. And I think people miss that part. I educate my clients on that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm recommending a supplement. What are we supplementing for?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it, because you're not meant to stay on this stuff. I was like, this is just a more natural drug. I want you to think of it that way. I've moved you off of toxic drugs to less toxic drugs, and then we're going to get you off of these drugs too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, because it's not your food. And that's what I got to keep pounding in their minds. It's not your food. You can't stay stuck in supplement world.
Right. It's another crutch.
Yeah. So you want to whittle that down to as much as you can and then move to food-based supplementation at a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So if we've got a bunch of plants and herbs and berries and earthly matters and things of that nature that your body understands as carbon-based, totally gets it. Let's do that, because we are living in a very tough world to manage. I get that. And we do need additional support, especially if we live in a big city.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not a fool. I get that absolutely. But let's minimize it as much as we can and only work with the critical things that the body really understands. So the goal, and that's even in Chinese medicine. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at the seven stages of medicine, it's all the same. You've got allopathic medicine for emergencies,
Mm-hmm.
herbals, and all the other things, and you can keep going down the ladder until you're on food again as your medicine. So
Mm-hmm.
if you can't ever get medicinal food, then you're going to need to maintain some level of supplementation. Um, but that's where I look to things like Purium,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all food
Mm-hmm.
over there. So at
Mm-hmm.
least you can't find really strict, awesome organic food in your life, or you can't afford it, then you need to afford that.
Right.
And that will help offset the difference. Um, and so you start getting the good, organic, clean food in your body. And I can tell you what, that was one of the things that I loved about finding Purium for the first time is I was eating organic foods already. But when I ate their organic foods, it had a much different effect on me. And that meant that the organic food that I'm eating isn't as organic as they're claiming.
Or what you thought it would be.
Yeah, that part. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. So humor is definitely important to lighten up that individual for
Mm-hmm.
one. Because I meet people that I need to get better at that, the humor part. Because I meet so many people that are so serious when they call.
Well, yeah. Well,
Um,
you meet them in that place, and your job is to guide them to
yeah,
a lighter way to approach life.
absolutely. So I've been working on trimming down how serious I may come across and really talking more like, yeah, I'm a doc, I can help you, but I really want to kind of befriend you in
Yeah.
the process. So let's just talk. And the guy yesterday goes, I had no idea that you were like this when we talked. I was
Uh-huh.
like, this is the only way to really be if I'm going to help you, because you're not on a short journey, my friend.
Yeah.
You've been on a very long, arduous path, and you're looking for someone to walk with you. We might want to get to know each other a little bit and make sure that we can tolerate each other's company. And he actually laughed at that. He's like, okay, that's pretty good. I said, it's all about the connection. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. I have a God has a predisposed amount of people that I'm ever going to be able to touch in this life. I might as well get to know each and every one of them as best as I can.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you become a friend of theirs and they become a friend of yours, they can let down their guard.
Yeah.
And which also means their gut will relax, which also means they won't be as constipated.
Yeah.
I notice that when I'm constipated, if I'm tightening up my abdomen,
For sure. Absolutely. You're
right?
constricting.
You're constricting. And guess what loosens that up? Crying and belly laughing.
Yeah. I'm a big belly laugher myself. Um, and I have no shame in it at all. It's just who I am. I remember it scared my father-in-law when we first met, and my wife was my now wife, girlfriend then, was kind of watching from around the corner because it shook her the first time she heard me laugh because she'd never heard someone like just laugh so
For the sake of laughing.
abundantly. But in my family, we're a family of big laughers. We have a lot of big laughs in my family, over anything and everything. When we all get together, it's just a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, and
Mhm.
that's just the culture that I was raised in. So I've never been embarrassed about my laugh. I never will be.
That's one of the things I enjoy about being with Hawaiians is they do what's called talk story. And all they're doing is sharing from their heart, their experiences, and there's so much laughter. Some of the best comedians have come off these islands.
Oh my gosh.
They know how to make fun of the human condition.
Yeah. Because if we don't laugh at this stuff, I mean, I was laughing at myself last week. Um,
A lot of
I was
material, a lot of good material.
I was having a little struggle being disciplined last week with my workouts.
Mhm.
And I just had to laugh at it, man. I had to make fun of myself. I started coaching myself, and I was laughing at the same time, coaching myself through it. What would I tell my client this week if they were struggling? And I said, man, you're over here taking your own medicine right now. Look at you. You need your own medicine right now. Absolutely. I sure do. It's all good.
Well, that's good
Who
self.
better to who better to administer it than me?
As we come to the close of this class, I sent you your certificate.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So may it serve you well, and however you want to place that or mount that or do whatever you want, it's yours to do.
Thank you. Now I'm happy to have it. Um, this experience has been very touching for me, and it's allowed me to grow in this
Mm,
area and really stepped up. I've got so much stuff now, um, and that makes me happy to have the tools, building out my kits, and really creating this lifestyle for myself and hopefully eventually for my family. I know in July we're doing a family raw month in hopes of transitioning the family to the next level of raw food living,
mhm.
and or
See that.
and the signs have been so good. Me and my wife, it's funny because my wife is picking up on some of the signs with the kids. So as we've lessened the load of animal proteins, you know, in the home
In
on
the
the
home.
table,
Yeah.
even when we go out, even when we go out and the kids try to get some of that on their plate, it's not working out for them anymore. We did Father's Day this weekend. I went to a new restaurant in Charlotte. Took the whole family were all there, and my son ordered something with fish in it. He couldn't eat it. Sent it back. They brought him out something with chicken in it. He didn't hardly eat that either. And then he didn't feel well on the way home. He was like, "Yeah, my stomach doesn't feel good at all." I said, "Don't worry. We've got everything we need to give you a little activated charcoal. You'll neutralize that stuff. You'll be just fine." And so came home and did that. And I said, "Bud, you're changing."
Yeah. You're getting to know what you can and cannot eat.
I said, "Your body's adapting as it should, and your body's talking to you. And I want you to listen. Don't ignore it. Don't just think with your head. I need you to you're gonna have to feel your way through this. Think about it tonight before you go to bed, what actually happened at the restaurant. I want you to
Yeah.
think of."
Connect the dots.
Yeah, because the same thing is happened today when they've been doing so great. I said, we'll go out for soup and salad because that's always been like this has been one of our family transitional meals. So the soup has a little bit of ground sausage in it or something, right? I don't eat the soup.
Hmm.
So I just barrel down on the salad. It's amazing salad that they make. And so I'm noticing, and it's an all you can eat, by the way.
Uh-oh.
And we're
Yeah.
good. We're normally good for 3 to 4 rounds.
Wow.
They both did not finish their soup. one bowl, both of them. And I'm observing the truth. And I'm going, holy smokes, wait till I tell my wife about this tonight. July might be easier than we think. I think the family's ready. I think they've been ready for a little longer than I thought. So I'm excited to help them make this transition. Um, during that month, we're also going to be sharing more advanced cleansing strategies. We're introducing them to enemas in July. And so that's going to be on the mom. Mom's educated, and I'm like, you have to educate the babies. I don't feel like I have the patience to do that with the kids. Um, but I'll be here to support, grabbing all the stuff, whatever I need to do. But I want you to guide them. They need to trust mommy to do this. And she's like, okay, I can do it. She's done enough on her own. So I'm super excited about July for our family to go through this because we're about to elevate to a new capacity to collectively. And
Hmm.
it's only going to bring so much greater good to them for their entire life.
Oh, exactly. This is the foundational part.
And we're doing the visual education as well. So we're going to show them how the meat is made here in this country, um, so that they can connect to the energy. So we're going to start talking about the energy, about how that transfers to you, how that can lower you, make you not be your best.
Hmm.
Um,
And
and
the conditions of the animals before they take them, before they sleep.
absolutely, just with my daughter this morning, I was dropping her off at this camp, um, day camp, and we were talking about cheese because she saw me write the post about cheese or whatever yesterday, and I did a little video I haven't put out yet. I'll put that out probably next week. But she goes, I really like the video that you made, Dad. You're talking about cheese and everything. I said, yeah. I said, cheese was one of those things I was highly addicted to back in the day. I said, your dad used to eat like 2 large bags of shredded cheese a week. I ate them, not your mom. Your mom ate her portions of, I had 2 big bags by myself a week. So I had a problem. And she was like, oh, wow. I said, could you imagine anyone stealing mom and putting her away just so they could take her breast milk from her? I said, and by the way, they would forcibly make your mom pregnant all year, every year of her
Awesome.
life, just to make cheese for some other species of people to eat.
Hmm.
And
And
there's
to rob them.
all this other stuff here to eat that doesn't require this kind of pain and suffering and demoralization. And and I hate to say it, baby, rape. And her whole demeanor changed. I said, how would you feel if mommy was in a cage like that? She goes, I couldn't imagine that. That's horrible. I said, think about all the babies that have never met their mothers
Hmm.
in that industry to make milk and cheese. And we just coat everything over it to make it look okay.
Hmm.
I said, but that's going to end because you need to see it. I said, this world will have you watching violent movies with humans killing humans. But when you see humans killing God's creatures, it's a whole different hit in the heart.
It's a whole different agony. Yeah.
It, I said, you will connect to it and you need to connect to it because what we've been taught is not proper. And if I could have done it differently, I would have never put any animal in your mouth in my life if I could have done it differently. I said, but I can correct it now. So I'm going to do it now.
I would love to see the before and after pictures of your kids.
Well, we are taking pictures and we're weighing in. We're doing all the things to see how we're all affected. And that means we're taking close ups of the face, both of the eyes. We'll weigh in. Um, we'll talk a little bit about just how you feel. I have a little 10-question kind of thing we're going to track week to week. Now, the kids won't have many ailments. They're pretty healthy kids. But I do want to ask them about like their productivity, their attention span,
Hmm.
their happiness. how
Yep.
well they slept, things like that.
Sure.
Things that they can assess. Um, but yeah, we're they're a little intimidated. I'm very happy because I know it's not going to be as bad as they think it is because I'm watching them. And today was confirmation that they're gonna do really good. Because they didn't even eat it. They never even finished the first bowl. Like it was pretty much full. That's never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And we went hungry. We went with hunger for lunch, and lunch was even late. And I was blown away leaving that restaurant today. I was like, no way, we're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a gift. Like, and they didn't say anything. My son was like, I don't think that soup's that good anymore. I was like, I think that soup's the exact same soup.
Your taste buds are changed.
Yeah, exactly. I said, you're changing, not the soup, son. You're changing, and it's a good change. Go with it. You're going to leave some things behind in this world many times in your life because your tastes are going to change. Your mindset's going to change. Your frequency's going to change. Don't be afraid to let things go. It's okay to say, I just don't like the soup anymore.
Yeah. And that's your sign right there.
And you don't have to eat it. He's like, okay, okay, Dad. So I know he'll be thinking about that for a few days. He's a very
Uh,
thoughtful guy.
I had to unravel. We're going to come to a close here. I
Sure.
had I had to break free of all the programming around food from my parents and from grandma. Grandma lived through the Depression.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
they were teaching us you got to eat everything on your plate. They had cabinets full of food, deep freezers full of meat. And it took me years to not only say no to all this, but the proportions got less and less to where I could get down to one meal a day. So it's a lot of deprogramming we have to go through.
I went through the same thing. My grandmother lived by herself. I went to live with her twice in my sixth grade year and my ninth grade year in of school. And she lived in a house, two-bedroom house, but she lived up north, so the basement's completely finished. It's like another house down there,
Yeah,
right? But she had two refrigerators down there
full.
full of food and two deep freezes. And it's just her.
Hmm.
And she'd ask me to go get something. I'd be digging around in the deep freeze for 20 minutes to find anything. And I'm like, half of this, so much of that stuff would go bad. It would get freezer burnt or whatever. But she would replace it. She would throw it out or give it to someone's animals or whatever to eat it. And she'd be back in the. I said, why are we going to the grocery store, Grandma? You have so much food at home. She was
Yeah,
stuck on always finding deals on food, like she still had four kids at home.
that was my mom, and what blew me away is whenever we go to the grocery store, now she would shop 5 times a week, almost every other day. Got to go fill up a cart. She would sample every sample through the store. And I'm looking at it going, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, but it's free.
Free.
I said, that don't mean it's good for you.
Yeah, that free thing gets
It's
people all the
every,
time. It's a problem, man.
it's
And
a
so
hook.
I'm glad I got over it, but I held on to it for a long time. I had that same problem, and it happened the most when I started my wellness journey. What did I do? I went out and I bought a deep freeze, and I went and started buying animals from one of the best farmers in the world and stocking my freezer and making sure it stayed stocked. And then I got another freezer and I got it loaded. It's a sickness. It's a sickness, man. And now I'm getting rid of all that stuff. Like I sold two deep freezes and I said, I'm trying to get my wife to envision a kitchen without a stove.
Yeah, and you don't have a microwave.
Oh, there's one in this house, but it's disabled. We don't use it.
Oh, it's unplugged?
Yeah, we don't use that. Um, I haven't used a microwave in, I don't know, probably 30 years. So I'm trying to get us to see this vision of maybe we have a refrigerator, not necessarily always necessary when you're truly eating a raw in a raw way. Everything can kind of sit out and you can just eat it, and because
Oh, yeah.
you don't want your food cold anyway, you know. And I said, and I had an example from one of my friends who had removed their stove
Hmm.
out of their kitchen and they had put in another rack to just store food in with all the, the knives and the cutting boards and everything. And I
Like a
said,
pantry,
what's that?
like a pantry.
Yeah. And so they just put that in the place in between the cabinets where the stove was. And I said, now take a look at this. This is where we could end up because we gotta keep realizing that um, it is cooked food. I know people want to talk about meat all the time, but the biggest fight is still with cooked foods. That's really the deal. Like before we start demonizing everyone for eating animals that they were taught to eat from the moment they got here on planet Earth. I get it. I'm all about, saving the animals, but we have to save ourselves too. And just saving the animals doesn't stop people from going into so much cooked food.
Well, we're the animal that needs to be saved.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. So I'm like, but if we can, so the goal is that we come out of July and we move to every other day, one cooked meal allowed.
Do you limit the heat of the meal, the heat of the cooking? There's only
Well,
for a certain degrees.
we haven't in the past, but that's this next phase is that cooked food's going to be um we'll have starches much less in the plan, a lot more steamed vegetable and or fruits. Um, and we'll just try to do our best with that. We're also going to introduce some dehydrated raw foods for variety and texture,
Mm-hmm.
um, and for that fake satiety that people are looking for, just to help with the transitions, right? I want to end up honestly just walking in my pantry and grabbing pieces of food and eating it and being done.
That's my lifestyle. What I love
Yeah.
is these pantries on both sides here. Got coconuts on one side, got bananas and avocados and papayas and mangoes and all kinds of tropical fruit. The thing is, what I love about it is that there's no expiration on fruit. So you have to be touchy-feely with your food every day to test
Yeah.
its readiness.
Now.
And you can't let it go bad or you're going to be throwing it out as a compost or to the chickens.
Yep.
So that kind of diet and that kind of lifestyle, you got to be well connected to your food.
Yeah, we have to be. So this is going to be a big next level for us as a family, education wise, and just reconnecting with all the things that we need to connect to, and then coming out of that, upgrading our lifestyle. We cleaned out, we purged, we did good work in July. Now we're going to come out of that, and we're going to be gentle with that cooked meal, and we'll see how long you really like it. Go just see how long you really embrace that and really want that. Because I said, what's going to happen for all three of you is you'll come out of that 30. I've done this plenty of times. So you'll come out of this 30 days and you're going to taste cooked food. And at first, you're going to go, wow. And then moments after, that wow factor is going to dissipate and you're going to kind of go,
No, I don't like it anymore.
it's all right, I guess. But if you keep shoving it in, then you'll rebuild the tolerance, you'll rebuild the hormonal connections to it all, and you'll
Hmm.
fall back in the trap again.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm going to be trying to help coach them through it, through all of that shift and change and desire and addiction, helping them get off of the adrenaline and all the stuff. Um,
When you break them out of it, walk them into a store. This is how it helped me to break out of it.
mhm.
Walk into a store and walk them by the meat department. Let them see the butcher. Let them see the pieces of meat that are on display in the ice and see if they form a different association. The other thing that helps break them out of it is to take them to a Chinese market or an Asian market or Korean market where you're walking through and that smell is
It's
disgusting.
the stench.
Oh, yeah.
It's and what because my wife got she got a little I don't know, offended the other day because we were someplace and we were at this June 10th event and they had a bunch of food trucks and stuff out there. And I'm like, oh, I can't walk over there. I'm good. She's like, why? I said, it just, it smells.
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean it smells? I'm like, I
It's,
smell rotting. It's just rot, death. It's death. I smell death. She goes, you can't say that. I'm like, you asked me. You asked me. And I'm telling you what I smell. I smell death. And I don't want to be around that because they
hmm
were frying fish.
hmm
And fish is the most disgusting smell out of all the flesh, in my opinion.
hmm
And she goes, oh, it must be spoiled. I'm like, I don't, of course it is. It's dead. It's all
Yeah.
spoiled. It's all dead.
Yeah.
You just have gotten used to a certain level of dead.
Well, it sounds morbid. You may want to tell people, well, if you enjoy eating a corpse, yeah, you go right ahead. I don't
Go,
eat dead bodies. I don't eat anything that has eyes or a mouth.
no more. I've been off of that for almost 4 years now. I'm coming up on my birthday, but I haven't been 100%. For 2 years, I reserved the right to eat my dad's fish because I grew up a fisherman.
hmm
All the all my uncles, my dad, my grandfather and his father,
Family,
it's a thing.
family thing.
You had to become a great fisherman. And so I did. I was a great fisherman. Um, but I've let it go completely. I don't want to fish anymore. I don't want to harm anything especially for sport. That was the thing that my wife was like, yeah, we could go fishing and they got this place down here, blah, blah, blah. We could do that and have some fun. I'm like, that's not fun for me anymore. She's like, it's catch and release. It's like, that's even worse.
Yes, you're still hooking them.
I said, that's even worse. You're catching and releasing. I said, you don't know this, but over 50% of all released fish die. You might as well go eat it and give praise to it or something for taking
Yeah.
its life. Now you're just poaching it. It's legal poaching, catch and release.
It's torture.
That's torturing. That's torture. And she's like, "Oh, it's not that serious." I said, "You're just not there yet, honey. You're just not there yet. You can't see it yet. There's levels to this. You know there's levels to this, and it's okay. I'm not judging you if that's what you want to do. I'm just telling you, I'm not doing it. I'm not going out and torturing any animals of any kind. And there's no purpose for it. Like there's nothing else to eat out here. We've got all these options. We've got money in the bank. We've got a garden. We've got grocery stores. We've got too many options to have to be thinking it's fun to go out and torture other species. If you want to go outside and have fun, we can hike. We can do all kind of things. We can build stuff. We can do a million different things outside besides killing.
Yeah.
We've got to be a little more inventive in the mind.
And a little more sensitive to all beings matter.
Yeah. But I think that comes with the purge over time of staying off of animals long enough. You know, I can practically pet the deer in my yard now. Almost there. They don't run when I come out. I come out, I say, "Hey, it's okay." Just came to say hello. And I just hang out there with them and I get their energy and they just hang out in the backyard and I just hang out there too.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
things are good. I think everything is happening as it's supposed to, based on other plant eaters' experiences and vegan experiences that I've heard of how nature comes to you
hmm
when you're not when they know you're not want to harm them. I
Yeah.
have no desire to eat you. In fact, you're unappealing to eat.
But I'll pet you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that to me, I remember the day when back in the day when I was like, yeah, I want to go hunting to kill a deer. And now I don't think I could do that. It would be very, I would have to be put in very dire situations to have to do that for a major survival reason. And that is all it ever could be. And
Yeah, but your
even,
brain's been rewired. Once your brain is rewired, and
yeah,
realize you got survival nutrition coming out of you. It's a
yeah,
whole other attitude, a whole other
it,
approach to what you consider survival food.
yeah, it's just not the same anymore. So, you know, I'm happy about that. I'm looking forward to July. I know it's going to be a big deal for us as a family to take this next leap. And it will also be a big leap for me because the less of that we have, the more I'm at peace too. Because when
Hmm.
you live in a house with three others that aren't on your level, it's part of the struggle. And so I'm looking forward to that struggle not being there, you know, that I can walk into the kitchen and I go, "Hey, we're just having fruit for dinner," and everybody goes, "Yay, that's great."
I saw my housemate. She's been transforming little by little. First, she started coming home with the juice that I drink. She would go, "Oh, yeah, I got this brand. I know you like it." I said, "That's great." And then the other day, she said, now she ends up going to the hospital because she had something happen with her body. She was really sick. It was really
Mm-hmm.
scary. She comes back, and then 2 weeks later, she says, "I don't know what it is, but I just feel like eating more salads." So I'm just smiling, going, "Nice going there. I don't know where you got the inspiration, but keep at it."
That's always good stuff to hear. I love when I get those little reverbs from time to time too, and I just go, good on them. I don't care. You know, I just want to see people get better, um,
Have
and
a
make
good
these kind of moves, and more people make these moves, so that other people can see them. And that's the thing that we need. We need so many people to see what's possible. You know, a guy came to my house to sell me windows, about a month or so ago, and he was overweight, you know, and so we're talking or whatever, and he was like, "Well, what do you do?" So we're just making conversation. I said, I help
wellness.
people heal themselves." Um, and he's like, "Oh," and I told him, he was like, asked me about me, and I told him about my journey a bit. He goes, "Dude, I would have never thought you were bigger than me at one point in your life." And I said, "Well, yeah, I was." I said, "I was sicker than you too at your age. I had a lot of problems." I said, "So if all you're worried about is your weight, you're doing really good. So, because you're already working on it." And he goes, "I am." He goes, "But dude, how are you that built on just fruits and vegetables?" I said, I got something for you." He goes, "What?" I said, "It's not magic. It's just the way we were intended to be." And I said, "If you try it, you'll get what I have. And what you're trying to do will be so much easier to do."
Yeah.
I said, "I didn't have this when I lost my first 100 pounds. I did it the hard way. You don't have to do it the hard way. You could just start tapping in right now. Just start
Making it.
eating." So just pick one meal a day and just start eating a raw fruit meal once a day. Pick one, breakfast. That's what I would prefer you do. And just see how that sets up your day. How many more things change, make you better just from that one raw meal. And then for every other cooked meal you have, make sure you at least have 20% of that meal raw, which essentially means a small side salad of some sort.
Yeah, it's a good percentage to work with.
And he was like, "Just do that." I said, "Just do that and try to improve upon it and see how you go." I said, "I think you'll be surprised just how simple this can really be and how much your body's going to appreciate it." Because those people that are that overweight, they also can't sleep. They're
Mm-hmm.
also anxious,
Mm-hmm.
often depressed,
Mm-hmm.
all kind of joint pain.
Yep.
Their penis doesn't work anymore. They
Mhm.
can't get erections, and they're in their late 20s and early 30s, and they're dealing with all these problems. And I go, "You just focus on this. And by the way, if you're drinking alcohol, let's work on that.
Yeah.
Let that go. If you want all that fat to go away, stop the alcohol." And he went, "Well, I'm not a heavy drinker anyway." I said, "Then great. You're not even doing it that great, so you might as well give it up since you're not even that good at
You're not committed to drinking.
it."
You might as well get out of there. Just
Might as well
go.
just leave it on the shelf for the pros, okay? You're not a professional. Just leave the alcohol on the shelves for the professionals. You come over here to some water and some juices and some other things that are good for you and see how it goes. I've never heard back from the guy because I was like, come back to talk to us. We'd like to talk with you. I said, we want to get some windows put in that we have two windows in our homes that don't open. They were never designed to open, and we want them to open.
Hmm.
But he never came back. And I'm like, man, I wish he'd come back. It would be great to see if anything um, fortuitous happened, if he took any action, you know? So who knows when that'll happen. But Brother Sage, this has been an absolutely great experience for me.
Thank
I
you.
take it all to heart. I promise to uphold the standards that you have taught me and that I've read, and I have the manual here. But more than the manual, I have our connection. And that is of the most utmost importance to me because it really transcends the written word is your energy and me being able to be connected to you while you're here in this plane of existence. So I feel like I'm kind of lucky. I feel very lucky to have gotten this opportunity with you, and it has definitely made me a lot more confident. Um,
It goes
and
along.
yeah, it's made me a lot more confident, and it's made me a lot more open to getting this out in the open from my perspective, right? From my channels and with my people to I don't want to hide behind what I'm doing. I want to share what I'm doing because so many people can't afford the so-called best path to healing, if you will, you know, sign up with guys like me for 6 months to a year when we could do something over the course of 30 to 60 days
Yeah, turn it around.
and turn a lot of things around, but more importantly, get you to the point where you don't need me. And that's what I really want to do is help more people not need practitioners.
Hmm.
We have to become the practitioner. That's what people aren't understanding is you have to become the practitioner.
Yeah.
And once people get that, when I'm working with them, everything starts to click. Because they'll, you know, people want to ask you a million questions, right? And I'm much like you when you were like, well, you know, I've taught you this, right?
You know the direction to go. Yeah.
You know what it is. You're asking too many questions instead of going with your intuition, you know? And so when we can trust ourselves, which that's what intuition really is, trust thyself.
Hmm.
And that's what I do with my clients. Trust yourself. So I have this one client who's been working with me, not in my big program, but she signs up for little ones repeatedly because that's what she can afford. And so she's now at this phase where she's kind of reintroduced some nutrients to her body and she's feeling things and she's telling me what's going on. And I love it. She's like, well, I got this, so this must be this detox because I was out of this stuff for X amount of time. I just brought it back in and here's what I'm feeling and whatnot. But I'm still feeling good. I'm just noticing that these things are happening. And I'm like, listen, everything you just said is 110% on point. You're
Good job.
doing great. So just keep on moving forward, keep on analyzing, don't overanalyze, but keep on taking note of what happens and interpret your body's language. It's going to always tell you the truth and it's always going to move you forward if you listen and if you can hear it. And I said, you're proof. I said, just your 1 year picture is proof enough. Whenever you doubt yourself, I want you to look at that comparative photo I sent you. So what I did for her was I stole a picture I have her very first picture because when people sign up with me, they have to take a picture,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have her very first picture, and then I stole one off of her Facebook page that she had just taken with her new grandbaby. And I called her up and I said, I just sent you something, and I want you to tell me who that is. Who is that?
Who is that guy?
And she called me back and she said, oh my God, that's me. I said, I know. It's
Amazing.
crazy, isn't it? She goes, oh my God. She goes, I know people have said I look different, but oh my God, Ken. I said, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I said, you are all that, man. You are all that. That was less than a year progress. And you're not even, I said, and you still got work to do, but look at how your body is so happy about what you're doing. I said, so keep on moving forward. Anytime you have a doubt, I want you to pop this picture up and remember who you are and what you're capable of. And she goes, you better believe I will. This is amazing. I said, no, you're amazing. I said, I don't heal anybody here. It's not my job to heal you. I never promised you that. He goes, you promised, because you did say that you from the very first time that you were not going to heal me, but you would teach me how to heal myself. And I said, check you out.
That's the truth, and that's what a true facilitator does. He's
Absolutely.
not you don't need the ego strokes. I'm going to
Uh,
heal you. No, no, it didn't work that way.
no thanks. I don't want that. I have a hard enough time healing myself. I'm barely getting that done. So I don't want I don't want that level of responsibility. I think that's a lot to hold on to. You heal yourself, I'll heal myself. That's enough load for anybody to take on.
Yeah, we'll meet and celebrate together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brother Sage. I appreciate you. I love you from my heart.
Love you
And
too.
thank you again for hosting this and getting me through this, through all my busy days. This was absolutely worth every minute of my time. Thank you.
Thank you as well. So I'm going to publish this, and we're all done. And
Okay.
let's see, we're maybe someday we'll collaborate again on something.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to get moving. Aloha, Brother Sage. I'll see you soon, okay?
Look forward to it, Ken.
All right. Bye.
Aloha.